The movie begins with a small woodland creature named Ollie, desperately trying to stay hidden from predators in the wild. Unfortunately, he gets spotted, and a tense chase begins. Right in the middle of the chase, everything suddenly freezes, and Ollie starts narrating. He explains that although the situation looks bad, it is not even the worst day of his life. According to him, the worst day happened years ago, when he was just a curious young child. Back then, Ollie loved exploring the world around him. One day he noticed a group of beautiful fish swimming beneath the ocean surface. Fascinated by them, he became determined to discover a way to breathe underwater. His first few inventions failed miserably, but after countless experiments and mistakes, he finally succeeded. For the first time, Ollie was able to explore beneath the water. He discovered an incredible underwater world filled with colorful and unusual creatures. It was the most amazing thing he had ever experienced. However, his adventure suddenly became dangerous when a giant fish began swimming directly toward him. Too innocent to understand the threat, Ollie simply stared in amazement. At the last second, his father rushed in and pulled him away from the water. Ollie had nearly become the fish's next meal. After returning home, his father warned him never to trust other creatures and to stay close to his own kind. But Ollie could not stop talking about the wonders he had seen beneath the sea. His excitement worried his parents, who strictly ordered him never to leave the island again. Their community followed a simple rule: hide today, survive tomorrow. Realizing that Ollie was not taking the warning seriously, his father decided to reveal the truth about their history. Before he could begin, Ollie's grandmother stepped forward and took over the story. She explained that long ago, the valley was a very different place. Animals lived in constant terror of a ruthless wolf that controlled the entire land. Everything changed when enormous tree-like beings called the Zoo arrived. These mysterious creatures possessed magical powers that allowed animals to transform and communicate with species different from their own. For the first time, peace and unity spread throughout the valley. Unfortunately, the peace did not last. The wolf became furious after losing his control over the animals. He stole the Zoo's power and transformed into a terrifying firewolf. Consumed by anger, he destroyed many of the Zoo, forcing the remaining ones to flee forever. Since then, the firewolf had ruled the valley through fear. Surprisingly, the story did not frighten Ollie at all. Instead, he seemed bored by it. Soon afterward, the puckoos, Ollie's species, celebrated their annual piplet harvest. During the celebration, Ollie noticed a young joven nearby. As always, his curiosity got the better of him. He approached the baby bird and saw that it was struggling to open a piplet fruit. Wanting to help, Ollie showed the little creature how to crack open the fruit. To prove it was safe, he even took the first bite himself. The baby joven quickly learned the trick and happily shared more fruit with him. The peaceful moment ended when Ollie's father suddenly arrived. Seeing his son interacting with a bird terrified him. The frightened baby joven began screeching loudly for help. Ollie's father immediately grabbed him and pulled him away. Unfortunately, the scream attracted an entire flock of jovens. After learning how to open the piplets, they rapidly consumed the entire harvest that the puckoos had worked so hard to gather. In a matter of moments, their precious food supply was gone. For Ollie, it became one of the worst days of his life. Back in the present, Ollie finally escapes the predators and returns home. However, he discovers that the puckoos are facing a serious crisis. Winter is approaching, and their food supplies are running dangerously low. Panic spreads throughout the community as everyone fears starvation. Ollie feels responsible and blames himself for teaching the jovens how to eat the piplets years ago. Then he suddenly remembers something important. Once a joven had been frightened away by reflected sunlight. Inspired, Ollie collects pieces of glass and uses them to reflect bright beams of light toward the birds. The plan works perfectly at first, scaring them away from the crops. But eventually, one determined joven charges directly at him. Ollie flashes the light again, but the bird crashes into him, knocking him into a deep pit. At the bottom of the pit, Ollie discovers a strange glowing pod, similar to the ones his grandmother had described in her stories. While trying to avoid it, he accidentally touches it and falls unconscious. Later that evening, his family searches desperately for him. When Ollie finally climbs out of the pit, everyone is horrified and runs away. Looking down at himself, he realizes why. He has transformed into a joven. Desperate to explain, Ollie tells everyone who he really is, but no one believes him. Hearing Ollie's voice coming from a bird only convinces the puckoos that the joven must have eaten him. They attack him, forcing him to flee. During the chase, he falls from a cliff. The next morning, Ollie wakes up far from home. Soon, 3 jovens approach him. One introduces herself as Ivy, while the others are her sisters, Violet and Lily. They explain that they rescued him and want to take him to Joven Rock for treatment. But Ollie refuses to trust them. He becomes so frustrated with his new body that he even starts pulling out his feathers. The sisters assume he is simply confused because of his injuries. Before they can continue talking, a terrifying howl echoes through the forest. A firewolf is nearby. Acting quickly, Ivy hides Ollie and masks his scent with fruit before flying away with her sisters. The firewolf searches the area, but eventually leaves. After the danger passes, Ollie travels to a nearby lake, where he meets a fish named Boogle. After hearing about the glowing pod, Boogle reveals that he has seen another one near a giant hollow tree. Determined to return to normal, Ollie immediately heads there. When he finds the pod, he realizes he cannot reach it because he still cannot fly. Ivy suddenly appears and offers to help him. In return, she asks him to accompany her afterward. Desperate, Ollie agrees. However, disaster strikes almost immediately. Before Ollie can warn her, Ivy touches the pod and transforms into a puku. Shocked and frustrated, both realize that the pod was their only chance to switch back. Now trapped in each other's forms, they decide to stay together and search for another pod. Later, they meet Boogle again. He explains that magical pods grow on the remains of fallen Zo that were destroyed by the firewolves. He points them toward a huge waterfall where another Zo body can be found. Ollie and Ivy begin the journey, but the climb proves difficult because Ollie still struggles with flying. Along the way, they encounter a lost wolf cub searching for its father. While distracted by the cub, they fail to notice a pack of wolves approaching. A dangerous chase begins. Ivy repeatedly tells Ollie to fly, but he cannot do it. Eventually, they take shelter inside a cave. Inside, they discover something even more dangerous. The cave is filled with root snakes, creatures that sense vibrations rather than sight or sound. They are trapped between wolves outside and snakes inside. Thinking quickly, Ollie creates a plan. Since puckas can see sense, Ivy uses her special ability to guide them safely through the cave. Everything goes smoothly until the wolves howl loudly, awakening the snakes. Chaos erupts. Ollie and Ivy run desperately through the cave until they reach a dead end. With no alternative, Ivy pushes Ollie off a ledge and teaches him how to use his wings while he falls. At the last moment, something clicks. Ollie finally learns to fly and successfully saves both of them. That night, they camp together. Ivy tells Ollie about her tragic past. After the Zo disappeared, the Jovans lost their primary food source. They survived on roots, but many still starved, including Ivy's parents. As the oldest sibling, she had to provide food for her younger sisters. Eventually, she discovered the piplets. The next day, they reach near the waterfall, but it turns out to be the wolves' home. With the help of Boogle, they distract the wolves' attention and go inside, but there is only one pod there. Before they can decide what they should do, the wolves attack again, and they fall into the water, because of which they change into fish. After becoming fish, initially there is an argument between them, but Boogle reminds them that to survive, they need each other. Ivy apologizes for the things that happened in the past, and Ollie finally understands her side. Coming together, they set off in the direction of the dangerous rock falls, where there are more pods. Working together, they overcome many dangers and finally reach the top. But there waiting for them is the firewolf. In all this, a small pup of the wolf slips and is about to fall down. Boogle tells them to ignore it, but Ollie decides to save it. That one decision changes everything. They reach the pods and return to their respective original forms. But after that, Boogle betrays them. He himself uses one pod to change into the firewolf, and reveals that he is the firewolf from the old story. After everyone abandoned him and being filled with anger, he had destroyed the valley, and later he was trapped in a fish's body. In this battle, Ivy gets seriously injured. Ollie carries her on his back and travels to her home, walking for many days without any rest, and finally gets her help until she gets well. After she gets well, they see that the firewolf has started destroying the valley again. Ollie steps forward and leads the Jobans to save other animals, taking them to a safe place. Upon realizing that Ollie had saved one of their own pups, the wolves also join them. Ollie reunites with his father and finally convinces him that trusting others makes them stronger, not weaker. But the firewolf attacks again, and this time Ollie knows what he has to do. He appeals to the spirit of the Zhou animal and gets a pod, because of which he himself changes into a Zhou animal. At the last moment, Ollie catches the firewolf and pulls him into the water, sacrificing himself to save everyone's life. A few months later, peace is established in the valley again. The animals now live together without any fear, proving that staying united is more powerful than staying divided. And this is how this story ends. If you want more movie summaries, recaps, please like and subscribe.